What's good, YouTube? Super Insane 18 here, bringing you another live duel here on the channel. We have myself piloting Dragon Link versus George, who is piloting the same Dogmatika Invoked deck that he showcased on the last two duels that he was in. You're going to see here that I win the dice roll after a tie and elect to go first. I will open up my turn by normal summoning a copy of Black Metal Dragon and immediately linking it into Striker Dragon, activating both effects in a chain, using the Striker Dragon as Chain Link 2, resolving its effect to add a copy of Boot Sector Launch from my deck to my hand, and using the black metal to add a Red Eyes Darkness metal to my hand. I'm then going to take the Striker Dragon and banish it for the effect of Red Eyes to summon, and activate the effect of Red Eyes to summon from grave, but George has an impermanence to counter. Thankfully, I do have another extender in my hand, and I activate the World Legacy Guard Dragon. This allows me to respecial the Black Metal Dragon, and I link off into the Dragoonity Knight Romulus. Since this combo does only require 2 dragons in order to completely resolve, without that extender I would have been in a bad position. Using the Dragoonity, I search the Dragoonity Divine Lance and activate its effect, using it to equip a copy of Dragoonity Phalanx from my deck to the Romulus that's on my field. I'm going to activate the Phalanx effect to special summon it, and then immediately link the Romulus away into a copy of Link Cross. This will allow me to special summon 2 tokens, which I can then use as synchro material, but he meets with the Nibiru. I don't really have anything to counter it here. He does put the token in the zone under the left extra monster zone for me. Looking through my grave, I try to see if there's anything else I can do, but I don't believe there is. I set 1 card and I pass my turn to George. George draws for turn and immediately activates a Cosmic Cyclone, getting rid of my Infinite Impermanence, putting him down to 7,000. Then he activates a Magical Meltdown to search a copy of Alistair, normal summoning the Alistair and using the effect to get a Invocation. He then does the same Link combo we see that puts a Secure Gardna on the field. He activates the Invocation, banishing the Alistair and the Almirage to put out a copy of Purgatrio. This will allow him to get over the token very easily. Using the Invocation effect, he adds the Alistair back to his hand, reveals the other Invocation to put the Makaba on field, and that is going to be game. Now, moving on to Game 2, since I did lose Game 1, I am going to opt to go first again. This time I open up with a copy of Chamber Dragon Maid. I don't use its effect because I did already have the Hospitality in hand and I sided out the trap card that we play. I link summon into the Striker Dragon and use the effect to add a copy of Boot Sector Launch. George doesn't seem to have any sort of response just yet. Now I'm going to activate the copy of Hospitality to bring back the Dragon Maid. This puts the 2 dragons on field that I need to make the Romulus. So I do link into the Romulus here and activate the effect. I search the Dragoonity Divine Lance again, activating it and using the effect to equip a Phalanx from my deck to the Romulus once more. Using the Phalanx effect, I special summon it, and same play as before, I'm going to link away into a Link Cross and summon 2 tokens. George does not seem to have the Nibiru just yet, so I am able to get a Synchro Summon off and go into Martial Metal Marcher, using its effect to resummon the Phalanx. Now, using the Marcher and the Link Cross, I am going to make a copy of Crystron Halki Fibrax and activate its effect to summon a Vylon Cube from my deck. Here I'm going to use the Vylon Cube and the last token that I have to make a copy of the Herald of the Arclight, which gives me my first negate, and activate the effect of Vylon Cube. Since it was used as synchro material, I am able to search for a copy of Smoke Grenade. This will allow me to look at my opponent's hand and rip a card. I am going to use the Phalanx to make a copy of Guard Dragon LP here, and then I'm going to use the effect of White Dragon Wyverbuster, banishing the Chamber Dragon Maid from my grave to summon it, linking that away into a copy of Guard Dragon Pisty. I will be able to activate the Wyverbuster effect in order to get a copy of Black Dragon Collapse Serpent to my hand. And here we see that I am going to activate the effect of Guard Dragon LP to special summon a dragon from my deck. Here I'm kind of debating on what I want to summon. There are a couple of different options. I could go with the Apsarouter and get a rocket to my hand when I link it away, but it looks like I actually opt to go for the Red Eye's Darkness Medal. This will allow me to get another special summon from my grave. Using the effect of the Red Eyes, I am going to summon a monster from my grave, and I bring back the Dragoonity Phalanx here. I do link the Guard Dragons into a copy of Duelingerous Dragon here. This lets me go into other materials since I was locked into dragons with both of those on the field. And I am going to opt to go for a 4-material Appaloosa, deciding that 4 negates against this particular deck is going to be better than any other sort of interruption I might be able to set up. So I activate the Boot Sector launch and use its effect to summon the Rocket Tracer that I already had, which would be why I summoned out the Red Eye's Darkness Medal off LP, and because the Rocket was summoned, I can summon the Duelingerous from my grave, and then I summon the Black Dragon Collapse Serpent by banishing the white. Using the Duelingerous and the Black Dragon Collapse Serpent, I am going to go into a copy of Union Hanger. This will allow me to lock George out of the extra deck. Then I activate the Smoke Grenade and use the Rocket Tracer effect to destroy it in order to summon another rocket from my deck. This will not only put the monster on board that I need in order to complete a Synchro Summon, but it will let me look at my opponent's hand and rip a card. I do see here that he has the Gamma Seal. I decide that that is the most threatening card in his hand due to the board that I'm going to set up, so I send that to the grave, and then I Synchro Summon using both of my rockets into a Borreload Savage. Activating the effect of Borreload Savage, I equip the Halki Fibrax from the grave, and then I activate the Union Carrier to equip the Dragon Buster Whelp to my Borreload, which will lock my opponent out of the extra deck. I set 1 card and I pass to George. He attempts to use the effect of Fleur-de-Lis on my end phase. Realizing that I don't want him to get a Dogmatika on the field, I opt to negate with the Appaloosa, and he draws for turn. He tries to use the Fleur-de-Lis again. I decide that I do want to negate it, again trying to keep him off of a Dogmatika on the field. He normal summons the Alistair. I activate the Infinite Impermanence that I have face down, leaving all of my monster negates live. He tries to use the effect of Ecclesia, and I negate it with the Herald to destroy it. This does look like George is in a very bad position. I don't think there's any way that he can win with all of the negates that I still have live. He opts to crash into the Union Carrier, set 1 card in his main phase 2, and pass turn. Here we can see that I'm taking quite a long time to think over my play. I believe I drew the Tracer for turn, which I did, so I am going to use its effect and destroy the Boot Sector launch from my field. I'm going to summon a copy of Magna Rocket. This is just to put damage on board, that way I can swing. With the 1600 Appaloosa and everything else on my field, I do have enough damage for game. He tries to block with the Fleur-de-Lis, but I negate it, and that is going to be game for George. Now, with a win under my belt, the score is 1-1. We are going to proceed to Game 3. Let's see if George is able to win. So George elects to go first and opens up his turn with a copy of Nadir's Servant. I have no response, so it does go through. It looks like he is going to send a copy of Construct from his extra deck to the graveyard. This will allow him to search any of his Dogmatikas. He opts for the Ecclesia and normal summons it, using its effect to get another search. Here he's actually going to debate what to search, but he ends up grabbing the Dogmatika Punishment. Since he does not search for the Maximus, I assume that he has it and drop my copy of Lancia to prevent him from banishing cards. This will not only prevent the Maximus from coming onto the field, but also any sort of invocation plays that George might have planned. I do reconfirm what the Dogmatika Trap does, and it does destroy a card on my side of the field, meaning that if he were to send the copy of Natis from his extra deck for the cost, he would be able to actually destroy 2 cards. Setting 2 cards, George passes his turn over to me. I decide to start by normal summoning a copy of Starliege Seifert from my hand, and using its effect to search for a copy of Rocket Tracer. Normally what you would do is search for a Black Collapse Serpent, but since I didn't do that, I must have some other extenders. It looks like I opened the Collapse Serpent. I'm going to opt to banish the Lancia for its effect, and summoning it, I will immediately link it away to the Striker Dragon, chaining both effects. The Striker Dragon is going to allow me to get a copy of Boot Sector Launch, while the Black Collapse Serpent allows me to get a copy of White Dragon Wyverbuster. Now I am in a pretty good position, having the access to both dragons that I need in order to full combo, but George still does have that punishment in the back. I am going to summon the White Dragon by banishing the Black Dragon, immediately linking both into the copy of Romulus. Activating the Romulus effect on summon, I will search for a copy of Dragoonity Divine Lance, and immediately equip that to him. George opts to then look at his card as if he wants to activate it. I believe here he actually waits, opting to let me use the effect of the Divine Lance to equip the Phalanx, and I believe here is where he is going to actually use the punishment to destroy. So I activate the effect of the Phalanx to summon, but he opts to, on the effect, activate the punishment. This will destroy the Romulus and get all of the cards on my field currently off. Since they are equipped to the Romulus, it does destroy everything. With not much left to do, I activate the copy of Boot Sector Launch. Since I do have that Rocket Tracer I searched at the beginning, I am able to special it, using its effect to destroy the Boot Sector Launch. This will at the very least let me get a Synchro Summon off, putting another level 4 on my board. I do summon the Magna Rocket, and I will use both that and the Tracer to Synchro Summon into a copy of Borreload Savage Dragon. On the activation of the effect to equip from grave, he does meet me with a Nibiru. Unfortunately, there are no negates currently live on the Savage, and there's nothing that I can do. Giving me a token and getting the Nibiru on his side of the field, I pass my turn, as there is nothing left for me to do. On the end phase, George uses the effect of the Titanclad that he sent to summon an Ecclesia, using the Ecclesia effect to search for a copy of Fleur-de-Lis. George then draws for turn, and he actually opens up his turn here by banishing the Construct in Grave to summon out the Maximus. Unfortunately, I have nothing that I can do. The Maximus summon does resolve successfully, and he is able to send a Natis, which will get rid of my token, and this is game. I forfeit, and George is now undefeated.